currently reading PMP Guide 6th edition. You might be studying the 7th edition, which is out now, I'm not quite sure. My name's Andy Baker. Welcome to beautiful downtown Kuala Lumpur, in front of the world famous, iconic Petronas Twin Towers. I'm going to give you a little tips and advice for you as you go into your Project Management Professional Certification, otherwise known as the PMP exam, or as Phil Akinwale calls it, PMP. So I'm going to give you a few tips that I used when I went through the exam. It took me 2 years to get my journey completed from start to finish. I had a lot of problems along the way, as people normally do. People that are working with families, society, social events, all that kind of stuff can get in your way. So you need to properly plan for the PMP. You need to make sure you got it down packed before you go take the exam. So what we'll do is we'll backwards plan how you can prepare for your PMP, and I have 10 steps. So I'll give you the 10 steps that I used as you go into the preparation for and training for getting your PMP examination and certification. Okay, so let's go through these 10 and I'll backwards plan them from the last thing you want to plan for to the first. So a little backwards planning sequence. Okay, let's do it right now. Okay, so my surefire backwards planning sequence, I have 10 steps in there, and I'm going to list them out to you in front of the world famous, iconic Petronas Towers. So as we backwards plan, we're going to go from the last thing you want to plan for to the first. The last one, number 10, plan to celebrate. You need to plan your celebration after you pass your PMP. It's an important piece. No matter how big or how small, plan your celebration. That's number 10. Number 9, pass the PMP with authority. Pass your exam, become a PMP like me. Number 8, cram. Yes, cram. You're gonna cram, and I'll show you how to do it. With Coach Phil cram list that I used, and I'll show you that. Number 7, perform your reconnaissance. You want to go to the test center, have a look, test it out, see how to get in over there, see what's involved. Number 6, you're going to mock around the clock. So you've got to do your mock exams, the full 4 hours. You can't mess around. Number 5, study with your PMP guide by your side. Have the PMP guide by your side. Number 4, sign up for training, coaching, and mentoring. I highly recommend Phil Akinwale, my buddy, my coach, my mentor, from Praizion.com. He's really helped me through the entire process. I can't recommend Phil enough, and I'm not getting any money to plug him. So Phil is the man that you want to have. Number 3, take your 35-hour mandatory training. Make sure you find one with a PMP guide. Number 2, schedule your plan in detail. You need to schedule out how you're going to do this. 4-hour mock exams are not easy to plan on the weekend, so make sure you schedule it out and plan it. And number 1, you start your first journey. Take your first step into the PMP. Hopefully that's what you're doing right now, watching this video. So we'll jump around Kuala Lumpur in the Golden Triangle and have a look at a couple of the things that I went through and experienced, and I'll give you a few drop some nuggets of gold on you. Let's take a tour, shall we? Alright, so first place on our stop after the iconic Petronas Twin Towers, downtown Kuala Lumpur, the Golden Triangle. We're going to go to the test facility, which is just a block away where I got my PMP certification and I passed my exam. Let's go check it out and do a reconnaissance. Step 7 in our backwards planning sequence is reconnaissance, performing a reconnaissance. And Phil talks a lot about that when you go through Phil's training. It's important to go to the training center a couple days before you're going to go, take the exam, and understand what's going on, how to get in, what the details are to get in. I know it sounds like a trivial step, but we had 8 people taking the exam the morning that I took it. 3 of them were late. They were late to the exam. They had no idea where they were going, the parking, the travel, the traffic. So make sure you're ready for the training center. Do your reconnaissance and have a look before you take the exam. Okay? It's a very important piece. Don't underestimate it. Go to the training center. and have a look. Let's go have a look, shall we? So here we are in Menara TA1. This is where I took the exam. So 2 days before I came over, I came to have a look. I went to the sign-in desk, actually went up the elevator to the exam room. The ladies there were very nice and gave me a look around, so I was able to see how long it took to get in, get my access card, get up to the examination room, where the toilets were even, to make sure that I was all ready to go, and it worked out perfect. So when I came, I had plenty of time before the exam. I was calm, I was relaxed, and I was ready. Those 3 people that were late, I must say, when they came into the exam room, they were frazzled. They were so out of shape. They weren't ready for the exam at all. So, really important piece. Make sure we do the proper reconnaissance and make sure that we know what's going on with the examination center, and you'll be ready to take the exam. Gong Shi Fa Chai. Gong Shi Fa Chai. TA1. Alright, so Menara TA1 is where I came over to take my exam. Pearson Test Center, part of the SciComm test group. So I did my recon. Day of, I came over here. I went in, took my exam. 4 hours up there, crunching away. It took me all 4 hours to take the entire exam. I didn't have 1 minute to waste, to spare. And then when I came down, I was so happy because I passed my exam, became a PMP. And all the hard work was finally over with. So, important to understand your test center, important to understand your reconnaissance. Make sure you're ready, people. Whew, that was a rough trip over. This is where it all began for me on my PMP journey here in my company's training center. I took my 35-hour mandatory project management training course. It was almost 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago, that I took the course. And it started me on my journey towards becoming a PMP, project management professional. So, a couple of things to point out about the mandatory training for PMI. My instructor was awesome. He was a very knowledgeable, well-experienced person, and he presented very well. He's an excellent instructor, very, very good. But guess how many times we opened the PMBOK guide? Guess. Can anyone guess? 0 times. So we never had the PMBOK guide during the 35-hour training, which Phil is probably getting very upset now, because we have to have the PMBOK guide in the 35-hour training. So look for a 35-hour training that has a PMBOK guide, because you're going to be using this baby like crazy. Okay? The PMBOK guide is the basis for the entire PMP examination. So we need to have this in our 35-hour training. If your 35-hour training does not have the PMBOK guide, I would seriously consider looking for a different 35-hour training. That's just the way it is. This is what the exam is based on. So, very important. I know when Phil does his trainings, he uses this baby, he reads from this baby, he has it on his phone, he has it on his iPad, he has a hard copy. Phil is never more than arm's distance away from his PMBOK guide. Okay? So a couple of important things. One, the PMBOK guide needs to be part of your 35-hour training if you can get it. Second is you have to change your mindset a little bit when you come into the 35-hour training. Because I was thinking about, I've done projects for 25 years now, and that's not how we do it in my projects. This is how we do it. And you have to get up past that and into the PMI speak. You're going to learn a new language called PMI speak. So that's where you have to get in there and learn this book. Phil will tell it to you many, many times. The questions are written from the book. The questions are written from PMI perspective. So things you did in your work, on your project, going to be much different, perhaps, than what's in PMI. And PMI is going to have a lot of things in the PMBOK guide. You're going to have to know all of those. So, in the beginning of the training, get your mindset right. As soon as you start your 35-hour training, think to myself, okay, this is going to be different from what I do at work, but I'm going to learn it anyways. And I guarantee you, it'll help you out. Okay, let's continue our journey. We're going over the backwards planning sequence to prepare you for your PMP examination. Andy's 10 steps going backwards from 10 to 1. Let's continue our journey, shall we? Once you do your reconnaissance, once you pass your exam, it's time to go celebrate. Plan your celebration. Let's go celebrate, shall we? Well, here I am in my celebration. So step 10 of the backwards planning sequence is to plan a celebration. Doesn't matter how big, how small, but have something that you want to celebrate after you pass the PMP. You become a PMP. So plan your celebration, whether it's hanging out with your family, going to a restaurant, playing something nice, having a nice beverage. So my plan after I passed my PMP was to come here at El Toro Loco, one of my favorite watering holes, having a couple beverages that I enjoyed, and I went on vacation that night. I flew out that night. So that was my celebration once I passed my PMP, and I tell you, I was on cloud 9. I was so happy. I was on top of the world to be project management's professional certification. The thing is, we're over. It was an amazing feeling. So don't forget to plan your celebration. So as soon as you pass, you celebrate. So I'd like to say big thanks to Phil Akwale, Praizion.com, my mentor, my coach, my buddy. He helped me along the way. I never met Phil face to face. I never talked to Phil on the phone. I just emailed him and I watched all his videos. I followed his learning management system. I used the cram list. I feel like I know Phil very well, just in the videos from YouTube. So thank you, Phil. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. I don't think I could have got something better like this in the end result. Fantastic at Praizion.com. The value for the money that you get from Praizion is outstanding. Incredible bang for the buck from Phil. So only one thing left to do. See if I can make it happen. See if it can happen here. And it worked. Cheers, everyone. Good luck with PMP. You can do it. You can do it. Pass the exam. Bye.
Nobody pray for me. It been a day for me. Yeah.